Welcome to another edition of Perfect Game College Baseball. Brett Dolan filling in for Darren Sutton, joined by my pal Hunter Pence. And I always enjoy these conversations with you, Hunter. But this week we've got two phenomenal guests. Dave Van Horn, head coach at the University of Arkansas, a program I get to be around. Matt Deggs was his disciple, who was your college coach in junior college baseball. We're going to talk philosophy. We're going to talk fall ball. And these are two guys that are really enjoyable to listen to.
Look, this is a gold mine today. These two coaches, just two of the greatest minds in all baseball, if you ask me. Some passionate baseball lifers, and just absolutely excited to hear what they have to say. And there's definitely going to be some good stuff to take home with you. If you're able to listen to this show, you're going to get some baseball knowledge.
Baseball lifers. What a great term. I enjoy that. Hey, coming up next to kick off our show, it's Dave Van Horn, University of Arkansas, right here on Perfect Game College Baseball. And welcome back to Perfect Game College Baseball. Brett Dolan and Hunter Pence, and excited to be joined by Dave Van Horn, the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Dave, first of all, I know as a head coach, fall's always very important, but you had some position battles. It felt like a little of a different fall for you maybe than in previous years. So now with all said and done, how do you look back on the last couple of months?
Very informative, very competitive. You know, we lost most of our position players off a team that, finished pretty strong, returned some quality young pitchers. Lost our Friday night guy with Connor Nolan leaving. But other than that, we got most of our guys back that played big roles. So really it was more about the new pitchers and figuring out who to play in the field. And, there's still some positions up for grabs, but for the most part, we learned a lot about our team.
Dave, yeah, it was quite an excellent season last year. Obviously, the last two seasons, I love to ask like kind of overarching philosophies. You're one of the greatest minds in college baseball, 9 College World Series. You've had some unbelievable teams. And, for me as a fan and a student of the game, always looking at like what Tennessee did last year and what you did the year before, and then not quite making the World Series, but still just excellent seasons. You can't say that, you give yourself a chance to win the World Series and make it. You've done great. But I wanted to ask you, just from every year being different, is there something you notice or you can pinpoint or key in on those teams that happen to have those magical runs?
Well, number one, they need to really want to play at the end of the season. You get to the, and you've been at the highest level, and it's such a grind, and nothing like a big league season in September when maybe things aren't going great. You just can't wait for the end to get here. You got to make sure the guys still want to play, and there's a lot going on in their head. You have a lot of draft eligible kids. You got some kids that are beat up a little bit. You just hope that you have the right personality and makeups in that locker room. And I feel like that we do a good job there, maybe creating that and maintaining that. And, it's just the way we talk to our kids, the way we practice, sometimes the way we don't practice, give them a day off here and there, or shorten them up a lot, talk about it and why we're doing it. And just make sure that, man, when the regional hits, they're all in.
Beautiful. And I, as a player and being in the clubhouses, I can agree to that. And, you look at, everyone has the same amount of time where, you bringing in great talent, you have a wonderful atmosphere. But when I think of an Arkansas, like any of the players that I played with or talked to in the minor leagues, anyone that's come from there, and then even watching, Arkansas play, I think of fundamental baseball. Y'all play great defense. You do the little things right. You pitch well. But hard-nosed and culture and getting that mental, because it's like, yeah, you have your physical, you have your nutritional, you get your workouts in, but how do you get the most efficient? And a lot of times it is that mental and that culture. So can you talk a little bit about like building that culture? What does it take? What is the culture? Is there a specific message in general?
Well, I think you hit on a lot of it. And I think, you can talk about it as a coach, talk about how you want to be tough and how you want to do this and that, but it's really about the makeup of the players and the way their mind works. And it starts with the returning players from previous teams and letting them lead. We have an outstanding facility here. We've got a beautiful locker room. Well, I don't go in the locker room much. I tell the players all the time, this locker room's for you. If there's a problem in here, you guys fix it. If you can't fix it, come find me. What goes on in the locker room stays in the locker room. I want him to enjoy it. I want him to love each other. I want him to have fun. Just keep it under control, keep it clean. But we think that it starts in there, and the locker room moves to the field. It moves to a bus. It moves to the hotel. But there's a lot of culture going on, a lot of building, and it really starts with the returners, the way they talk to the new guys, the way they act. And we tell our guys, man, we can't get to Omaha without these freshmen. You need to treat them right, make them feel welcome. You look at last year's team, a couple of our best pitchers were freshmen. We wouldn't have got there without them. So, we could talk about this for hours, but that's just the tip of it. But it really starts with the returning guys and the way they handle the new players and talk to them, treat them, and let them know how important they are.
Dave, I know culture sustains itself over some years, and then when you do have some dips as far as maybe not as many returning players, it takes the work of the staff. And you've had some veteran coaches that have been with you for a number of years. Matt Hobbs, you've had to fend off some big league teams that have been interested in him. Nate Thompson has put together some amazing recruiting classes. In fact, Perfect Game has your incoming class in 23 as the number one ranked class. Bobby Wernes has been a volunteer, if you will, assistant. And I know you don't love that term, but he's been with you for multiple years. How key has the continuity and the consistency of your staff been over the last several seasons?
It's been big. You start down that volunteer word, which I can't stand. That should be going away here, hopefully in a few months. But, Bobby's had to fend off many a professional team coming back after him to coach in the minor leagues. And Nate's had many opportunities to leave, and Matt's had college opportunities, professional big league opportunities. They like it here. I let them work. I don't micromanage my coaches. They're good coaches. They get paid well. They know what they're doing. Let them go. And if I have something I want to bring up, I'm going to bring them in the office and talk to them about it. I'm not going to do it in front of the players because I want the players to know that is your position coach. I'm overseeing things. I always tell the players anyway, you write the lineup. I just put you in a certain order. And, I think they truly buy into that. But my coaching staff is as good as any out there. They work extremely hard in the recruiting, bringing in the number one class so far. But this fall, we have worked harder this fall than we ever have with these players. Reason being, obviously, we want to be good. We know the league's going to be incredible, and we have a lot of new players, and we've tried to advance them and develop them as fast as we can, and so far, so good.
Dave, you have this new building, $27 million. It's incredible. And obviously, I'm probably a couple of miles away from you, so I'm over there a lot. It is probably the elite facility right now in college baseball. How would you describe it to Hunter, who hasn't been in there, or somebody else, as far as what that facility has done for you and continuing to take this program to the next level?
Well, if you start with the recruiting piece, just to be able to walk them through this facility, a young recruit and their parents, talk about development, and then they see it, and then they start believing it. And if they happen to be here when we're working out, they see the enthusiasm of our players in the weight room, and it's right in the middle of the building. It's basically, we built around the weight room, and they just get to see the way it flows, and the guys want to be here. And that's the second piece. This building is it's almost like a big fraternity house for these guys. They're here. They want to stay. We work out. They stay. We gave them an off day. Our guys an off day. I don't know. It was on a weekend. It was actually it was on a Tuesday, and the whole team came up and they had a ping pong tournament in the locker room, because we have a huge locker room and we have a big time ping pong table in there. 5 hours they were messing around there off and on, cheering each other. I love that stuff. I didn't know anything about it till it was over. And that's the way I want it. It's their locker room, have some fun in there, do whatever. I don't really want them setting up a boxing ring in there or something, but the ping pong tournament was big time. But I do believe this building has big time for development, and then obviously for recruiting, and kids get to see what they would be, where they'd be hanging out most of the time.
That's absolutely amazing. I know if I was a player for Arkansas, I would want to go there on an off day. That sounds amazing. It's a gold mine for a young, talented kid playing baseball at Arkansas. Dave, I want to jump into a little bit of kind of what Brett was talking about as your staff. And for me, watching baseball through the years develop, like velocity pitching has gotten just better. Kids are throwing harder. They're throwing extremely hard in college level. So it brings me as a hitter to what are some of the fundamentals? Because I know you have some of the most talented hitters, but what are like crucial fundamentals for these young hitters? And I think it would be cool for high school hitters to hear this that are wanting to be college players, to be able to battle this new pitching velocity and movement that we have.
To me, if you're going to hit at the next level, the college level on into professional baseball, you have got to know the strike zone. And if these guys are so good, if you're going out of the zone, you're done. It's so hard to recognize these pitches. You got guys throwing 95, 96 all over the place, right-handed for sure. And then they're throwing upper 80 sliders. And these kids are 19, 20 years old. They get better and better. You as a hitter, if you can't recognize a ball from a strike, you're going to have a hard time getting in the lineup because these guys are too good, too crafty. The pitching coaches are too good. They're not going to throw you very many strikes, especially when they get ahead of you. To me, that's such a key. Strength is big. You've got to be able to catch up to this stuff. The difference between maybe starting and not starting a lot of times in our program is strength. Just be able to get there and be able to maintain it and do it for few months in a row. And I mean, those are the main thing. If you really, really want to get technical, I'd like to bring in Coach Thompson and Coach Warnes, and they could probably dissect it. Coach Thompson can talk hitting till you throw up, okay? So sometimes I have to tell Nate, it's time to stop. Just let he's unbelievable. He loves it. He's ate up with it, and he's one of the best in the country, and he's got the record to prove it. But we're just really glad he's here.
I love that, Dave. And yeah, pitch recognition is one of the hardest things. I actually like ping pong for hitters in general because it's just like the non-think zone you have to be in because it's happening too fast. That was a thing that I would train with was ping pong. But yeah, it can get really, really technical. The fact that y'all have exit velo already in college, like you said, there was a kid who hit a 117 mile per hour homer. He's like 19 years old. I heard you talking about on one of your interviews. So that's exciting. And then I got to dive in obviously to Matt Hobbs and what he's been able to accomplish with a lot of the pitchers and just what makes him so special. Like what is just, I would love to just hear a little bit about what he brings on a day in and day out basis into each and every one of your pitchers.
Well, to me, as far as pitching coaches go, I think Matt's brilliant. I feel like that. What puts him over the top is that you just can't outwork him. I use the words ate up with it with Coach Thompson. I always feel the same way with Coach Hobbs. He takes it personal. He wants to see guys get better. He works them extremely hard. He's tough on them, but he loves on them. It's a good combination, and the competition amongst our pitchers is what makes us go. I mean, it's hard enough to get in the lineup, and then you're trying to get out there on the mound. And again, to me, it's the easiest thing to evaluate on if you need a pitch or not. I don't care if you throw 85 or 95. If you're getting people out, I'm putting you out there. And but Matt just does a great job of developing guys. We don't clone guys. We don't bring them in here and try to overhaul them. We feel like if we've got to overhaul a pitcher or a hitter, then we probably shouldn't have recruited them. We let the guys show us what they can do. We've got all the technology that you can want, and Matt knows how to work it. And we've got some behind-the-scene guys that are right there with him that help us out a lot. And everything we do is recorded, whether it's hitting, every swing, every pitch, it's your bullpens, it's all recorded, and you can go back and see how it's moving, how it's not. It's pretty amazing, and it can keep you working 20 hours a day if you let it. So, but Coach Hobbs, we can talk for a long time on Coach. And the other thing is about Coach Hobbs, a lot of people don't know is that he's in incredible shape. This guy works out 3 times a day. I mean, he's a CrossFit fanatic. He works out in the morning. He works out at lunch. He'll work out after the games. It'd be 10 o'clock at night. And I say, "What, Matt, you seem to be changing out of your uniform, and now you're getting in like workout stuff." He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to get a quick workout." I'm like, "Go home, man. Go see your kids." And, but he's awesome. And, I think that the players see our coaches working that hard. It makes them want to work hard as well.
Dave, I got to follow up on all the tools of the trade that you guys have with the analytics. And you talked about your coaching staff. You're a baseball guy. I know you trust your instinct and your eyes from all the decades of experience, and your coaches do the same, but they have the ability to take the Rapsodo or the TrackMan and to be able to relay that information quickly to the kids who might be visual learners. Are you amazed at these young coaches, how they're able to take this information and so quickly use it to teach and educate kids?
A little bit, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, they want to be the best at their craft, trade, whatever you want to call it. They learn it, and it's like anybody in any profession, man. If you want to stay on top, you got to keep learning every day, and our guys are all about it, and I love it as well. I mean, you talk about having an example. You have a pitching camp. You get a kid, and maybe it's even indoors because it's raining or whatever. And you get a guy on our mounds, and we can test all kinds of things. And maybe in a regular camp without the technology, you miss the spin rate on that curveball, and you're going, wow, this guy can spin it at 3,100. He's 16 years old. His fastball's at 82. Well, we might want to really tune into this guy because the velo is going to come. It's hard to teach him to spin a ball like that. And if you don't take him, you look up and he's 18. He's throwing 90. He's still spinning it. And then he's got him a changeup, and you got your starter. And I think it just gives you one more tool to go off when you're trying to evaluate.
Dave, I'm going to wrap with this. Your coaching tree is getting extensive to the point where you're even coaching against guys in your own conference that have been your assistants before. Matt Deggs is coming up next. He's the guy that's been at Texarkana like you, Northwestern State, coached with you at Arkansas. Do you have a Matt Deggs story you can share with us before we bring him on and verify?
Well, you could probably ask Hunter. He played for him for a year. So Matt's unbelievable. Probably one of the best on-field coaches I've ever been around. Really intelligent, has a great feel for the game. Very intense. Think about it. He was working under me when he was young, so he was a madman, as Hunter knows. And I'm just so proud of Matt and what he's done in his career, and Kathy and the kids. And, I don't like playing my former coaches or players. I'll be honest with you. I don't get an extra thrill out of it. I'd hate to see them lose, but I want to win, just like 2 years ago when we're playing Nebraska to advance to the Super, and Will Bolt's over there, and a couple of my players are, helping him, and former players. But I've tiptoed all around the Matt Deggs story. I'll let Hunter tell you some stories, but he's an unbelievable coach.
Dave, as always, appreciate the time. Can't wait to see your team start next season in the Rangers ballpark in Arlington for a great tournament, and then follow you again for what should be another fantastic season. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Thanks for having us.
That's Dave Van Horn, Arkansas head coach. We'll come back with more on Perfect Game College Baseball. Welcome back to Perfect Game College Baseball. We just had Dave Van Horn on with the Arkansas Razorbacks, and he talked about Matt Deggs before we get a chance to visit with the head coach of the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, a man I first met, I think, at a regional in 2016 in Lafayette, even though he was the head coach of Sam Houston State, bringing his team in to play the Raging Cajuns. But I didn't get to play for him. Hunter Pence did. And Hunter, I know it's always great to have Matt Deggs on and talk baseball with him, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. This is a treat. You're going to want to tune in to hear what I can't wait to hear what he has to say for us this year. But let's give Deggsy a question, Dolan.
Well, Coach Deggs, Hunter Pence just said that he learned more about baseball from you than anybody else in 1 year. So what was a young Hunter Pence, a young buck straight out of high school, 18 years old, what was he like, and how did you groom him in 1 year?
Well, good to see you, Brett. It's been a while. Thank you guys for having me on. I mean, I don't know if we have enough time to answer that one. It was a crazy story how we stumbled upon each other, and it was just I don't believe in accidents. I believe everything's meant to be. And for as much as Hunter says I taught him, times that by 10 by how much he's enriched my life, just watching the way he goes about his business. And you can take the accolades and World Series and all of that, and it's awesome. But, getting to be a part of his Wall of Fame induction and ceremony, and just hear and see and listen to how much he could be the mayor right now of San Francisco. There's zero doubt about that. But how much his teammates love him and Hall of Famers love him. And the way, he had a couple of guests there that weren't players, that they're people that he met coming to games. Like, that speaks to Hunter's character, and that's what I'm most proud of. But by far, they're the best player and most competitive player I've ever coached, and you knew it on day one that he was a piece of clay back then, but he was molded and shaped and was a diamond in the rough. Obviously, that became a diamond, and he was a freak. Probably still is. He probably still play. So he's the only guy I've ever coached who make an infielder make a business decision. Am I going to get in front of this ball, or am I going to move out of the way?
If only I could figure out how to get the ball in the air more. Too many of those top spinners.
He can top spin a ground ball, though. That would, hey, he can hair lip you if you don't watch out now.
Well, Deggs, it was so fun getting to play for you, and I'm going to dive in a little bit into. Obviously, you made a regional. You beat TCU game one, and you're always getting in there. You're getting really close to the College World Series. I'm going to be super pumped when you get over that hurdle. You just had a captain's meeting, Deggs. Talk to me a little bit about this group of guys, how that captain's meeting went, and what's going to be most important for this group of Raging Cajuns to have a good, successful season.
You're right on, Hunt. As we have a great jumping off point. I'm so proud that we restored the grit back to this program and got us where we need to be again. And I was talking with those guys, obviously, because the expectations are through the roof for us internally, just in the clubhouse. And we had a tremendous fall, so much so that it was a little bit too good. And then LSU came in here Sunday and gave us a big dose of humble pie and just dumped us on our butts. And we needed that. And because it showed us where we're at and where we need to get to. And they exposed us with some stuff that didn't sit well with us, as far as they beat us with the fastball. I thought they owned the dish better than we did. I thought, obviously it wasn't me thinking, they won the twos all day. Everything they did was with 2 outs, and just the kind of the cardinal rules of our program, they beat us at. I thought that not only were they more talented, I thought top to bottom, I thought they out-hustled us in a lot of spots too. And that's, with our ball club, that's unacceptable, Hunter. That you can't have, they can't be more talented and beat you to the punch. It just can't work that way. And our guys know that. Our guys understand tough talk and getting called out, and they'll adjust, and I think they'll get better because of it. And that's a great ball club over there in Baton Rouge. Jay's done a tremendous job, as well as, I know y'all were just talking to Coach Dave, and there's the Power Five and schools that are right there, like ourselves. You're going to have to play very, very smart, and you're going to have to play a little guerrilla warfare as well to be able to take those guys down and get to where you want to go. I know it's possible. We've done it. But you can't take a day for granted. You've got to show up locked, cocked, ready to rock, out-compete guys every single day, and dang sure can't lose the fastball or come off the dish or, lose the battle of twos. And so that's kind of what that was about. And we have tremendous leadership here. Our guys they're character, they stand for something, and they're not afraid to speak up, which you don't see a whole lot nowadays, Hunt. You get a lot of I lead by example. And anytime I hear that, I say you're not a leader, you're a dang good follower if you lead by example. Because leaders, as you know, have to open their mouth. And you've got to be able to communicate and provide clarity and sell a game plan and then go out and execute it.
Matt, I don't want to get too far away from your team or your philosophy because there's so much to dive into. I want to just follow up, though, on that game. A lot of college programs are tucked away for the fall. You guys had that 18-inning game against LSU on Sunday, which, we know what the passion is like for college baseball in that state. But Tommy White had 3 home runs, and I'm going to see him in the SEC. Tommy Tanks. I almost want to hide my eyes. What type of talent is this guy?
As advertised, it's really, really good. Don't let his size fool you, right? He's a monster. But first of all, he's playing third. He's a tremendous young man. I carried on a conversation with him all day and was very humble and appreciative to be there but really, really good bat to ball skills for a big guy. He finds that barrel. He's hard to put away. You can make him look bad on a pitch. You're just not going to do it twice in a row. He has an advanced game at the plate, and I thought he held his own at third base.
Wow, Matt. I think one of the biggest things you ever taught me as a young man, and like I said, like it helped. It influenced my career, my entire life. Is like you told us one time after a game, hey, we can't control if we win. We can control our preparation, but like no one goes harder than us. And this is something that became a fiber of my soul. So I love to hear. Obviously, you run into LSU. There's and this is the level y'all expect. Y'all are going to have to beat that to go to the World Series. To me, it doesn't matter what happens. It's like, what do you do with what happens? So how did your leadership and your team respond to, that humble pie? And it's a great gift. And I think a lot of people need to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 2 ways to go. Anytime you go through a little bit of adversity is you can run from it or learn from it and then go do something about it. And so we're in a business, and because you wouldn't have got to the big leagues, you constantly have to adjust in this game. And the guys and coaches that know how to make adjustments and learn and then apply it, those are the ones that keep moving in this game. And so I think Jay does a tremendous job at LSU, and I study a lot of what they do, and there's various coaches I like to look at. And I think there's ways we can improve. And I think we can tailor our early work a little bit better to individual skill sets, which is what we've always done in the pack, but maybe gotten away from a little bit. I think there's some technology that we can make better use of. The digital pitch calling, I think, can change the game because the catcher no longer runs a risk of giving up signs, et cetera. The pitch recognition systems that are out there too that you can use with the goggles and headsets. When reality, we have that. We need to make better use of that. I think you can always strive to get 1% better, and be in reading or application, whatever it is, and we are an older group, an experienced group. And so I think the realization, Hunt, of being able to use adversity and find a way to just get 1% better is at the end going to really propel us and give us a shot to do something crazy.
I'm a massive believer in that. And I think a lot of times, one of my favorite sayings is diamonds are made from the most intense pressure. A little less pressure, you have crystal, and even less pressure is just coal. So like getting hit with that, when you can be like, hell yes, like, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I love where we're at because like, I know that's what forges a World Series run. If you ask me, no doubt about it. So excited to dive into that. Now, Deggs, you mentioned something about not being on the fastball. And this was a question I had for Van Horn. Pitching is throwing harder. You're facing 95 in the college game. No matter who you run into, you're going to see someone throwing hard. What are some crucial fundamentals to get your guys on the fastball? Something that, for me, I used to like to try to play slam ping pong. I used to like try to have balls coming at me faster so I could find that gentle way to catch up to
Sure.
that kind of fastball. But for you, what are the crucial fundamentals for these young players?
Well, I'm a big believer, Hunt, that the game revolves around that pitch. Obviously, whoever wins the fastball, it's like having a really good running game in football. It opens up everything else. And they got after us, and they're the only team that has, because we can hit a fastball. But they got after us with the fastball by showing us multiple pitches for strikes. And so I feel like our approach got a little discombobulated, and we went from hunting the fastball first and foremost to worried about another pitch and trying to hunt the fastball, which it usually doesn't work out. You can pull it off sometimes, but their stuff was too good. And I felt like our approach got a little out of whack because they introduced a couple other really good pitches. But as well as I do, if I'm not on the fastball, I'm not on anything. And so first and foremost, it's approach. Secondly, you mentioned the ping pong or whatever drills there are. I'm a big believer in the hack attack machines and using the hack machines. And everything we do every day is live. Very rarely do we do any type of like feel good just on game day, probably. Most of it's about getting calloused up, and you got to learn how to fail to become a good hitter. And you got to learn to hit with a smile on your face and bounce back from at bat to at bat. And so the hack I use a lot, and we had gotten away from it the last couple of weeks. I didn't like our bat speed. I didn't like our attack, and they exposed that a little bit. But that's our biggest thing, is getting on time and on top to the fastball. If you want to drive the ball, you got to be on time and on top to the fastball, and I think that opens up everything else for you. But we had a lot of foul balls, Hunt. And then you start taking fastballs on the white, and you just know you're discombobulated.
I enjoyed this conversation. We were talking with Dave Van Horn, and Hunter asked that question to him, and he talked about understanding the zone, because if you chase outside the zone, you're done at this level. And I think, Matt, you've taken it to a different level as far as maybe getting caught between breaking pitches, and then all of a sudden you start thinking. I'm curious at this time of the year with the calendar, to give the body a little rest, but to still keep working. What can you do between now and the middle of January? Is it the goggles? Is it the reality? Just understanding the strike zone? Or are there still things you can continue to do to get better for next year, at the same time maybe give your body just a little bit of a break?
Yeah, that's great perspective, Brett. I had planned, and Hunter will tell you this, the only thing consistent about me is things will change. And but we're going to work every day. I had planned to keep going this week, even though our fall's done. We get 4 hours. So I was going to have like four 1-hour inter squads. But watching us on Sunday against LSU, I think we looked like we had been working since August. We need a break. And I'm a big believer in kids being kids. And so we're going to hang out in that RPC. That's our weight room. We call it the RPC, Regret Prevention Center.
I love that.
And so we'll be in there every day this week and getting after it. I'm going to let them just take a break. There's a couple of guys I need to adjust, so we'll kind of go out there one-on-one. But we, as you can imagine, got some dudes banged up and need to get healthy. I think strength is a big key. Our goal is to be mentally and physically tougher than anyone we play, and I think we put ourselves in a good spot for that mentality and mindset. To answer the rest of your question moving forward, I think reps is the biggest thing. You want to be, I always say, have your legs, lungs, mind, spirit, everything in shape when you get back for spring training, is what I call it, starting January 14th. Because look, and Hunter will tell you, it's still 6 weeks of spring training, and you're kind of starting over again. And so I think reps, staying sharp, being in a position where we can pick up and make some more adjustments faster, and we're going to be good to go. It's a long season. We're not preparing for February. We're wanting to be hitting our peak in May and June. So that's kind of where we're at on that deal.
Oh, beautiful, Deggs. And it's a balance, and mastering that efficiency and that balance is you've done it for a long time, and it's fun to listen to the great minds like you and Van Horn talk about this. I want to give you an opportunity. I have two more questions because we could talk baseball for forever, Deggs, and I got to let you get back to work. We got to let you get back to work. One, describe Moore Field and the Raging Cajun baseball, a home game atmosphere. To some young kids out there listening, because I'm going to tell you, if you want to go get after it, you want to elevate your game, you need to go play for Matt Deggs and check out these Raging Cajuns. But can you describe it in your own words?
Best fan base in America, man. And pound for pound. Wow. I always said pound for pound. Like there could be more, right, at a certain school. But it's hard to be a mid-major and be in the top 10 in the country in attendance. And we're in the top 10 in the country in attendance. We got a top 25 facility. We have Cajun Nation, man. They spill more beer by 9 a.m. than most people drink all day, and that's a badge of honor. That's a badge of honor. So incredibly knowledgeable baseball fans, and they get it, man. And the number one attribute is win, lose, draw. These folks are by you. Only thing they ask is that if you pay $5 to get in, you give them $10 worth, and we can certainly do that. And if you do that and you're honest and you play your butts off, they're gonna ride or die with you, man. And there's not another place like it. This place is magical.
Absolutely. So I'm going to jump in. There's a lot of things I wanted to add. I'm going to mention this, but there's not going to be a question. I love seeing this, and this makes me think of Deggs baseball. Y'all stole 138 bases last year. Tyler Robertson got hit by 13 pitches and stole 21. He was 21 for 24 stealing bags. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That sounds like a Matt Deggs kind of guy. He doesn't get out of the way. But then here's obviously 1,100 OPS, Carson Rockefeller. You got to talk a little bit about this guy. And he's coming back. That's a crazy season to come back for, like mentally, because you maybe want to do more is what I immediately worry about with a kid like that. Talk to me how his fall was. What is this talent?
Yep.
And can you give us a little bit about Carson?
Well, Tyler Robertson, man, that guy is a mini Hunter Pence. He's 6'4", 200 and something pounds, and was a little bit raw, and the Padres love him. He went out in the 13th round and is tearing it up. Can run, just all of that type stuff. Typical pack guy. Rock is I say this about Rock. He's kind of a Jim Edmonds comp. He's an easy runner, easy thrower. He catches the ball easy. He swings easy. He's got great hands at the plate. He can stay inside a ball. He can hook a ball. He's just a natural hitter. And so that's funny you mentioned that about can he do that again? I told him before the season, you're an All-American Team USA type guy, Rock. And he adjusted, right? He went from being real spread out to he got up underneath himself, got some rhythm and flow, and really started learning how to use his hands. And he put up a great year. It was an All-American type year, and it was a tough year to have an All-American year because there was guys hitting 30 home runs, But everybody said, can he repeat that? I said, yeah, he should, because that should be a normal year for a guy like him at this level. I don't know, that he's going to go out to A-ball and repeat that or Double-A right now, but at this level, I think he should get close to it for sure.
Matt, do they still sing "Take Me" center field instead of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" with the 7th inning stretch there?
Yeah, we've got all of it. This place is, Russo Park at Teague Field, steeped in tradition, and they stick with it. And if you have never been here, you got to get here. We're going to bring.
You need a college game day show.
We're going to bring Hunter in, and he's going to talk to the team. And then we're going to take eye black and we're going to paint a mustache on him and change his name to Carlos or something. And he's going to play for us.
I got a year of eligibility.
He's going to play for us. Yeah, he's got a year.
No, I think that's a fabulous idea. And I've been to this facility, and everybody sings better with about 15 beers by the 7th inning stretch, but it makes for a tremendous home field advantage. They enjoy their college baseball in Louisiana as much as anybody in the country.
They propel us for sure. They push us to the finish line. We've been extremely tough to beat here. And this is a place that's hosted regionals and super regionals. I mean, we've got no excuses.
Matt, it's a pleasure to get to visit with you and hear Hunter talk about you as well. I always learn something talking with these coaches. I wrote down the RPC, the Regret Prevention Center. I may use that from time to time. But as always, thanks so much for the conversation.
Good to see you, Brett.
Can't wait to see the Cajuns next year. That's Matt Deggs, the Louisiana Raging Cajun. For Hunter Pence, I'm Brett Dolan. Thanks for joining us right here on Perfect Game College Baseball.